immediate benefit now instead of the benefit that's going to be more long lasting and much more substantial in the future. And I feel like a lot
Mm,
of fatherless daughters would prefer to have the instant gratification now because it's something that we can quantify. We can trust something that's coming now, but we can't trust anything that's going to be promised in the future for a number of reasons. Number one, we have
mm,
abandonment issues. Okay. People don't stay, people leave. And so when we think about that kind of stuff, it's really hard for us to conceptualize and accept that we're going to do a thing and get a benefit far in the future, even though it might be promised to be exactly what we want. We need to see that thing now. And as survivors of trauma, being in survival mode all the time, like your brain is only ever equipped to deal with what's right in front of you. And what's
right.
right in front of you is the dysfunction. And it can handle that. I'm going to take one small step here, there, or wherever, but I can't think about what's 2, 3 miles down the road. You know what I mean? So a lot of us will do what has always been done. We will do what we know we can succeed at. We will do what we know we can get instant validation for, and what comes easy to us. And a lot of that does cycle around dysfunction. A lot of it
Mhm.
does cycle around expired relationships or doing just enough to get by and all of these things where we want more, but we don't know how to get it. And we don't know if we feel like it's worth it to actually do the
Mm,
work to get it. Like
yes, that is so
it's a lot.
true. It is a lot. As you're speaking, these are almost oxymorons. I'm thinking of mindful dysfunction,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
I
you're
can see
right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not thinking how you could have a substantial, gratifying, like a true soulful, gratifying relationship where you can be authentic
Right.
and receive and to give love. So we'll stay right here in the present, in the
Mm-hmm.
moment,
Mm-hmm.
even though it is horrible and it literally destroys our soul.
Yeah.
But we know that's that high functioning anxiety because if we stay in the present, we know what's going to happen.
Yes. Yes. And when you know what's going to happen, you feel like you have some control over your environment. And when you feel like you have some control over your environment, you feel a little bit more safe. And so that in and of itself, although it's not where you want to be, it does kind of stamp down the anxiety a little bit because we know that anxiety is heightened by the unknown. So it's just this cycle.
Oh my God. I'm already triggered. I was triggered 2 minutes in, but I've been doing the hard work.
Mm,
So I can recognize it, but I'm blessed to be in a circle knowing people like yourself because
yes.
oh yeah, because it's triggering, but it's healing.
Very much so. Very much so.
Mhm. And I love what you said about expired relationships because it's just like drinking some spoiled milk.
Mhm.
You know, you, you
Mhm.
know what it's going to taste like, but
Mhm.
you're still gonna drink it. And I'm saying this because I am a card member. What is it? A member card carrying member of
Yeah.
drinking the spoiled milk, and I
I
know.
Girl, yeah, I could raise my hand too because you know what it is? I was just thinking about it when you gave that analogy. It's not so much that the milk is curdled. It's just like maybe 2 or 3 days past the expiration date. You know what I mean? And it's like
Mhm.
it has that taste where it's gone off, but it's not bad enough where it's like, "Ooh, I can't take it."
It
So it's
looks
like,
like this. You smell it.
yeah. Yes. Yes. And it's like, you know what? Like, this isn't so off that I can't really sit in this and like, I'm okay. You know what? My coffee is hot. Like, I think I could do it. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like, it's not curdled, but it's off. And you just almost build up an acquired taste for the expiration of it all. And it's like,
Right.
Okay. And it's like the more you do that, the more the acquired taste is stronger and stronger, and you're able to withstand more of the fact that this milk or this relationship is getting further and further past the expiration date to
Yes.
you don't even taste it anymore. To you now that's normal. And that's where the problem is.
Exactly. And it goes from the, like you said, may not be curdled, but then even if it is curdled, it's just one, I'll pick
Mhm.
it out. Okay,
Mhm.
let's get back
Mhm.
to the tainted. And then one curdle turns into 25. And before you know it, we have yogurt and we're
Yeah.
gonna put granolas in, we're gonna
Yes.
zhuzh it up
Yes. Yes.
and make it quote
Yeah.
unquote right.
Right. Right.
Woo! I'm speaking from experience.
Mhm.
That's what.
Me too. Me too.
So I get it. And anyone listening in the podcast or during this live stream, drop some comments in the thread and let me know. Or you can always message me on the message board and give your thoughts. So, Bernadette, I'm going to put this graphic up.
Mm.
So, for those on the podcast, this graphic says you may have a father wound if, and then there's a series. We can go over each of them or some of them, but why don't you pick one that speaks to you and then I'll go next?
Okay. Um, I like you have to act as a parent to your father.
Oh, oh,
You know what? I like that one, but I think I like this one more. You have to excessively try to earn your worth. I like that even better.
talk to me.
Yeah, I really like that one because I think it speaks to the ways in which fatherless daughters typically try to prove their worth, and a lot of it is overextending themselves in relationships, not prioritizing their needs and desires.
Mhm,
Staying quiet about things that they really want to speak up about, especially when it's something that is creating inner turmoil for them, or not wanting to have a conflict with somebody, so they would prefer to not say what's on their heart. Things of that nature I feel really lend itself to that particular description about wanting to prove your worth, and constantly doing and trying to be, and even if it's wearing a mask because you want to belong, or
mhm,
being on this achievement train where you're constantly trying to achieve this goal after this goal after this goal, hoping that you're going to get the kind of validation that's long lasting, when
mhm,
outside validation is really just good for the moment and then it passes. But the kind of validation that you need comes from yourself. It comes from you understanding that you have worth regardless of who decided not to stay and who decided to leave. And the
mm,
fact that you draw breath means that your value is already concrete.
right.
And so as a result of that, when we don't understand that our value and our sense of worth has to come from within, we do things to get it from the people around us, the people who we want to love us, the people who we want
Mhm,
to stay. And sometimes that may look like creating an environment where you want to be all things to everyone. And because if you can make sure that you're the type of person who is always there to give somebody exactly what they need the moment they need it, you
mhm,
feel safe that they will never leave you. Because somebody who is needed doesn't get left behind. And so you always create opportunities like that for yourself. And it really is just a abandoning of who you truly are, because the
yes.
wearing of the mask is self-abandonment. If you can't show up authentically as exactly who you are, then not only is no one going to be able to love you for you, because you're only showing a version of yourself, the version of yourself that you think will belong in whatever particular group that it is that you're trying to belong to, but
Right.
also it is saying subconsciously that who you are to your core isn't enough. And when you say that to yourself by acting in these ways, it is solidified by so many other things around you. And then you become a person who doesn't even recognize yourself anymore. And
Mm,
you become a person who is so attached to labels or a particular person or group that if that group or that person has ever left or you now don't have access to it anymore, you're looking in the mirror wondering, well, what am I doing now? What do I have now? And
right.
all of that is super dangerous.
It is. When you said how you're in these toxic relationships and you don't recognize yourself, and you ever hear the terms when women, when we say, I just lost myself,
Yes.
that's exactly what
Mhm.
that is.
Mhm.
And when the relationship's over, you're like, what the hell just happened?
Right.
And then there's nothing to show for it. Actually, I take that back. There's heartache, grief. I take that back. There is something to show for it, but you think about all the work you put into it,
Mhm.
and this is what you have at the outcome.
It's hard.
And it is, and that's also a genesis, one of the genesis of people pleasing,
Mhm. Mhm.
anticipating the need